Sorry, I'm like running to get here because things are running late this morning. Hello, 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 Caroline. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I am running a few minutes late. I apologize. I don't even think I'm a few minutes late. I think I'm like right on schedule. I am. Sorry, I'm running a little bit behind schedule. It was a long day yesterday, and the reverberations of that are still being felt today. So good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Carolyn. Good to see you. Are you back from your lovely Canadian sojourn, or are you still sojourning away? We would love to check in with you. Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I need to get myself a teacup and some tea because it is a cold, cold morning. Good morning, Michelle. It is a cold morning here, so I've already got the kettle going, but I need to get my tea. So hang on a minute. Let me go grab myself a teacup. First of all, let's get the cup. Going for the black cat because it's spooky season and I have these love I have a love affair with black kitty cats. So I'm back, but it's against my will. Listen, I can only imagine that it is because it's fall in the northern hemisphere, and I imagine it's just gorgeous. This is one of the things I do miss about living in, oops, sorry, in New York. Let me turn that off. Sorry, I thought I turned that off. Um, it's about living up in the Northeast during this time of year. I mean, the Midwest can be very beautiful as well, but there is something just magical about the Northeast and going up into Canada during this time of year. Like the foliage is just unreal beautiful. Okay, let me go get myself some tea. What are we drinking this morning? Coffee, Michelle? Coffee is good. You know, I'm not a coffee drinker. So, I am a tea drinker. And I got some of my favorite teas. Dragon Pearl Jasmine is probably one of my favorite teas ever. So I was excited to find some. And I do like the Harney and Sons, but it starts out little balls, little bitty balls. But they expand because it's an herbal. But these little bitty, sorry, that's it. These little bitty sachets, but they smell so good. The smell alone makes me happy. All right, let me get myself situated here. And as you all know, because I'm a kettle girl, the kettle is piping hot over there already. I did manage to start that before I got myself in there. Double chai. Ooh, I do love a good chai. Love a good chai. Good morning, Cicely. All right, hang on. Let me get oh, some hot water from the kettle. There we go. All right. The Dragon Pearl Jasmine is now steeping. It'll be too hot for a while. It smells so good. I discovered Dragon Pearl. It's actually one of the more expensive teas. I discovered the Dragon Pearl. I was in a little restaurant called Blue Koi, and they serve a tea with if you order a pot of tea, this is their house tea. And I'd never had it before, and I didn't green teas can be a little astringent, so sometimes it's hard, but and I'd never had a jasmine tea before, and they're like, "Oh, just try it." It has a unique and distinct kind of flavor profile. It's hard to describe. It's the kind of tea that I feel like you can drink, and if you're a coffee drinker, that you would like it because it's just got enough of a robustness to it. But it's also the kind of drink that if you're just a hardcore tea girl like me, that it's not so robust that you feel like it's too strong, but it's got this amazing aroma to it. It smells great. You're right. We need smell-o-vision for teas only. For teas only, we do need some smell-o-vision. Okay. So while we're getting the steeping, get a spoon out. How many of you were impacted by the Amazon Web Services outage yesterday? This has been kind of a nightmare across the globe, especially in my industry of higher ed. Hang on, let me move some of this stuff out of the way here on the screen. Luckily, it didn't affect all parts of all aspects of my life, but it was pretty rough going yesterday. A lot of people were at a standstill, literally at a standstill, couldn't get anything done because y'all, we are really app driven. We are an app driven world. For as much as we think we're hardware driven, we are software as a service driven. And because we're software as a service or app driven, when a major web hosting platform goes down, the amount of things that just couldn't be done was unreal. So it was a started if you don't know what I'm talking about, starting Sunday night, I think it was. I was actually working and I couldn't get things to post all of a sudden. I couldn't get my work that I was doing wasn't saving, wasn't posting to my classes. The grades weren't going, like nothing was happening and I didn't know what was going on. I was just getting frustrated. So I thought, okay, maybe it's just my this particular university is having some issues. I'm gonna go ahead and just go to bed for the night because it was late and I'm gonna go put some music on. So I went to put on I play Amazon, I have Prime. Um and so I listen to Amazon Music. So I clicked the Amazon Music button for I have a nightly music playlist that I like to wind down my night to. And sure enough, this thing didn't say offline, you can only play your downloaded music. And I was like, what are you talking about? So I'm clicking this thing and I restarted my phone. I was like, did I miss an update? Because I have a routine at night. And it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. So I went into my downloaded music, which I didn't have a ton of because I don't tend to download music to my phone. But I played, the downloaded music that I had, and it was just like, that's so weird. So I started going through my other apps on my phone to see what else was not working as I'm winding down. And YouTube was working. So um I listened to some different music for the and while I was getting ready for bed. Then I just switched over to downloaded music for the night. But then I wake up the next morning, yesterday, and things are not popping. Like things are not clicking, things are not working. And I'm trying to, and I don't know yet because I haven't logged on. I try not to log into social media first thing in the morning. So I don't know yet what's going on. And my YouTube's working. So I was like, I went into my YouTube channel, I checked the back end to make sure things were that I supposed to come out had come out and all that kind of jazz. But then I had to get into class. I teach early in the morning and I couldn't get in. I was just like, I can't get in. So I'm trying to figure out what's happening. And finally, the word starts to trickle that there has been a major crash outage of AWS, Amazon Web Services, and that has taken down applications all over the globe. So I was talking to friends on on Threads and Facebook in various industries. I have architecture friends, I have other school friends, I have social media, digital marketing friends, friends who works for hospital systems, and we're all being impacted by this web that's down. And all of my systems went down from all of like literally everything that was on an Amazon Web Service side went down. Zoom, Canvas, Banner, like all kinds of apps that I have to use by virtue of some of the work that I do for universities. All of it went down. And then come to find out from my K through 12 friends, their systems also went down because they use something called Power School now, and all of their stuff went down. And then one of my architecture friends responded to one of my posts and said, hey, our yada 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 systems went down. We're off. And that's when we all started realizing how app based our lives really are. Not program based, how app based. Because all of these things are just our applications, right? SaaS applications that we load into, that we go into, we log into, but they're warehoused someplace else. And so much of industry is based now on these apps that we have to use to get anything done. And yesterday, the streets were talking. Like, the streets were talking because for as much as we want to boycott Amazon, and I know people were talking about that yesterday. Oh, if we just boycotted Amazon, I can't boycott Amazon. Amazon Web Services. Now, I'm not talking about Amazon Prime. Yes, I have my Amazon account because that's paid for through somebody else. But the Amazon Web Services is in our lives. It is tentacled into our lives. It's not going anywhere. You can boycott it all we want to, right? But the Amazon Web Services that powered Zoom and Power School and Canvas and Blackboard and other applications I know nothing about, those are not going anywhere because we are no longer a world that keeps servers on campus, right? Airlines were affected too, right? Like we're no longer a world that encourages compartmentalization. And I am not anti-globalization at all, but this is one of the drawbacks of globalized living is that when one system fails, it takes out a huge swath of the world. Just it just shuts it down. And so it got me to thinking because one of the arguments that I've had about higher education for a while is that we gravitate towards the shiny thing too often to the detriment of efficiency and effectiveness. And yesterday I made this point on threads. I got a lot of pushback, but I got a lot of support. But I made this point on threads like, can we finally start having the conversation about how everything doesn't actually need to be app based? How everything doesn't need to be in the cloud, that we might actually go back to, or at least forward into a future where we begin to think that some things should be warehoused on campuses, that some things don't need to be so interconnected with halfway around the world, so that if halfway around the world goes down, I can still function, right? Didn't this, oh, yeah, so here's the thing. Um, It was only if it was if it's not Amazon Web Service, it didn't go down. Like my YouTube worked just fine all day. And other apps that are not, and this is why I said we all learned some a hard lesson of how much we depend on Amazon for some of the things that we do because Google didn't go down. YouTube didn't, Alphabet did not go down. Anything owned by Alphabet did not go down because they're not Amazon. Microsoft didn't go down because they're not Amazon. But think about if Google goes down, if Alphabet goes down, Microsoft goes down, and Amazon goes down, those three web hosting things, those three companies, if their web services goes down, we're done. That's banking, that's airlines, that's everything is app based. And one of those three companies is hosting it somewhere. Very few places, some places still do, but very few places are hosting their own servers anymore, are keeping their own firewalls anymore. I think about how many firewalls would go down all of a sudden all over the place. So it was kind of an interesting, oh, yes, airlines are affected, pharmaceuticals, like so many things are impacted by so few companies now. The monopoly is just monopolying. And it was such a moment yesterday where I was literally having a really good dialogue with people in the industry who work for Amazon who are online trying to do like, listen, we know y'all are mad, but this is actually not a terrible thing, right? But it just had me thinking about how important it is that that we remember how to do things, that we remember how to function in in the analog world, right? That we keep some connections to things so that we're not wholly dependent upon the digital world to create our lives for us, because yesterday a lot of life just came to a standstill. Like people just couldn't do anything. And here was the funniest thing. My friend who's an architect, she was like, I got out drafting paper because I wanted to work on something. So I literally, and she goes, I don't not necessarily don't work with drafting paper, but I can't tell you the last time I got out drafting paper and my I don't forget what she said, her pencil, whatever she said, pencils, I think, or she called it something else, and just sat down and started sketching out the idea that I had in my head that I was going to work on something else. Um, and I just did that, and it was like, right. And how much of our lives are so we're just automatic. We automatically just log in. We just log in to do whatever the thing that we're going to do, and we don't even think about it anymore. So on one of the threads that I was on, there was some pushback from, I forget what she said, what the comment was, but it was something along the lines of, I had said higher education needs to stop chasing the shiny thing. And the commenter had said, but higher education 20 years ago or 10 years ago was so much harder, and this is so much better because I can remember a time when I had to, you know, load up my master's thesis using file transfer protocols and how arduous that was and da da da. And I said, yes, I did my dissertation and I had to load it up in file in FTP protocol, like file transfer protocol. I also had to walk a hard copy. I had to go get one printed, bound, and then go take it to the library so they had a hard copy of my dissertation on the shelf. I had to go do that, right? But what I pointed out was, but that was also the backup. Like that was the fail safe. If FTP didn't work, there was a hard copy, right? So it's important to have an analog backup as well. That's exactly right. The FTP, when the universities figured out file transfer protocol and you could upload things to the system, that was great. It also crashed all the time. So you still had to walk a hard copy of your dissertation or your master's thesis or your project to the library so that they could keep a hard copy. And now the argument is, well, we don't have that kind of space. We have empty buildings on campuses all over the place that could warehouse all kinds of things. The point is, to your point, Caroline, which is what I think is most important, is that we have lost our backups. We have lost our knowledge of how to have a backup that exists different from the digital because our whole life has turned digital. In fact, somebody was getting roasted on Facebook for saying, how can you run a smart house when all your apps are down? And then people were like, you just get up and turn on the TV. And then you realize people don't get up and turn on the TV anymore though. It doesn't happen. They log into their television to watch TV. They log into their house to turn off the lights, right? Like these really basic services are no longer analog. They are digital. And when the world went down and went dark, folks were like, how do I turn the lights on? I have a smart house. How do I turn the lights on? Apparently they didn't have the Google smart house because Google didn't go down. They had whatever smart house is on Amazon's web service and they couldn't turn the lights on. There was a woman saying, I can't turn the alarm off in my house. I literally can't turn it off because the web service that hosts the alarm company's software is down. It's wow, mind blown yesterday about how much we have allowed monopolies to now control so many aspects of our life. Let's see. That's why IRL relationships are important. Absolutely. We are so connected while being simultaneously lonely. Absolutely. 100% right. We've got to stop relying on the medium of this to be the place where we make all of our connections. Now, I love the fact that this lets me talk to you all and it brings us together and it builds this community together with us, right? But at the same time, I envision holding retreats, having women come and be in a place together because it's so important to remember that humans are designed to be in community. We are social creatures. It's not just how we survived the dark night when we were hunting and scratching in caves, it's how we survived emotionally, right? It's how we kept tether with reality and didn't just go off into our own heads all the time. It's how we remember that we are distinct humans. We can't remember our distinct humanness if we never hang out with any humans. We just can't do it. Oh, yeah, so do I. Digital cash registers. And to this day, one of the things that I'm teaching my child is how to count back change. Because, like I say to him, you need to make sure that you know how to count back change so that you don't get cheated when someone else doesn't know how to count back change because there are far too many people who don't know how to count back change, but it's such a simple thing and yet it's something that we have outsourced to a digital system and we stopped teaching how to count it back. And I can't tell you how many times I've said to a cashier, that's not the right amount of change. That's not because the cash register didn't put it in right, or they hit the wrong number, or the cash register is not working, or they didn't print the receipt. Whatever. It's like that's not the right. I gave you a 20. My bill was 17.22. Like you need to count up to 25, and then we count up to 50, and then 75, and then there's like that's $18. Now you need to give me $2 more. Like I have walked cashiers through that so that I make sure that I have the change back that I'm supposed to. But you're right. You're right. Digital cash registers? Word processors, don't get me started on AI because we'll be here all day. We literally will be here all day. I would, but some places won't even take checks anymore. They won't even take them. It's just so weird, but they won't, or they'll charge a fee for processing them, which I didn't know was even a thing anymore until I had to pay something. And I was like, oh, I'll just write a check for it. It's fine. And she was like, oh, well, if you write a check, it's like a $2 processing fee for us to process your check. Give me a second. The dragon pearls have turned into lovely full dragon. Look at how much tea that is, how many leaves that is. From those little bitty pearls that were in the sachet to begin with, we have this full sachet now. Anyway, um, yeah, so some places even charge you to process a check, to put a check through. It's just, and again, it's what we've decided as a world. It's right. It's what we've decided that we want. We want access. We want 24/7, 365 access to everything that we do. And the trade-off of that is we accept that sometimes the world's going to stop. And we're going to be stuck trying to figure out what the heck to do until the world comes back up again. So it was utter chaos online. It was crazy. Folks were like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with myself today. All of our systems are down. I, I remember, oh, hang on a second. So something told me, I am extraordinarily in tune with my own self, right? And I recognize as I'm getting older that, oh, sorry, Cicely makes a good point. Yes, a lot of those were down yesterday, even though supposedly closed systems, right, should have fail safes, should have ways, if this happens, to make sure that systems don't go down. So many things went down. So many things went down. It was crazy. Finally came back up last night. But I at 4 something last night, I got another email from one of my universities that they were still down. So, but by last night, everything was up. Mm. Oh, dragon. Dragon Pearl Jasmine. It's just my favorite, one of my favorite teas in the world. It's mostly water, power, cable, insurance. Yeah. Um, I Okay, so I'll tell you the story. So I don't know if y'all saw the post I made, but I'm going back to a paper planner. Okay, going back to paper planner. This is my planner for 2026. It's Bloom and Grow. I got a little planner. I was like, "No, I'm not gonna jump back into my old planner days." Do you remember? I'm gonna date myself, but I used to have one of those big Franklin Covey planners, like those huge. When I was in corporate, especially, I had this big, like I had like the briefcase looking planner. It was crazy. But but I didn't lose anything and I never missed an appointment. And all my paperwork that I needed was always in the planner and or in the briefcase looking thing. Um and so anyway, then the world became digital and here we are. So for some reason, long before yesterday, for some reason, it has been on my spirit that I need to take parts of my life back from the digital world. Not completely unplug because it's impossible now. I'm not a luddite. I get it. We're not going to go back. And I don't necessarily want to go back. I like some of the conveniences that come with living in the digital era. But but something in my spirit just said, it might not be a bad idea to return some measure of control and privacy to your life. And by that, at least for me, it felt like so much of my life. So um I use Amazon Web Services because I didn't know half the stuff that Amazon Web Services was used for until yesterday. But I also yesterday realized why I probably started getting this the tingling sensation that I want to take some of my life offline is because I'm a Google person. I'm an Alphabet person. I use a ton of Alphabet products, right? And so my calendar, my date planner, my um, YouTube, Google Docs. Like I am in. So if Google goes down, just like yesterday when I felt it for all of Amazon, I'm gonna feel that because a lot of my life is, for lack of a better word, hardwired into Google. So anyway, a few weeks ago, um, I just something on my spirit, ladies, just said it is okay if you unplug parts of your life from the digital reality. You're going to still be fine because you know what it looks like to do things in a different way. And so we went to Barnes and Noble because my son is reading this series and we needed to go get the second book. So we decided to go to a bookstore as opposed to ordering offline. We decided to do what we're always talking about, right? Get out into the real world and put my face in out in the world, in the real world, put my hands on some books. And I love the bookstore. I love the bookstore. I could spend hours in the bookstore. I can't because I have a child and he's antsy. But I was like, I'm gonna buy a planner. Like, I'm gonna go and I'm going to buy a planner. I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna ease my way back into it. So I bought this little planner for 2026. It's adorably cute. It's whimsical, it's fun, it's playful, it's colorful, it's got everything that I need, places to write, little places to doodle, which I appreciate. Especially if you've got, because you have a thought process, but you don't have, uh, you need to write it down so you don't forget it. So I just picked one up. I literally picked up the cutest little journal I saw and I walked away and I bought it. And then when I came home, I deleted the calendar app off the computer. Haven't done the one on my phone yet because I've got some appointments and this starts in 2026 and not 2025 or not until December of 2025. So right now I still needed access to my calendar. So I deleted the calendar app off my computer, but I kept the one on my phone so I make sure I don't miss anything. But, but the mere little act here of making a decision to unplug a part of my life. And the reason I think it well, yesterday it really resonated. But even before yesterday, I felt like I use a sign in for so much of my life. Like everything I do requires me to sign into something. Give them my name, give them my password, set up two-factor authentication. Y'all, I'm tired. I realize it's not it might be efficient, but it's exhausting. To me, I'm just talking about me. It might be really efficient to do everything online, but it's exhausting sometimes to remember which password and to change it every two. One place that I work for, we have to change our password every 14 days, and you can't use the same iteration of that password. So I have a book. I have a and another thing that I've done, and I started doing this last year. I used to have a password saver on my phone, and I was like, I forget it. Let me just get a notebook and I'm gonna start writing down all these passwords because I have to have a different password, especially for a couple systems. Every 21 days, I've got to use a new password. So I needed to start writing them down so that I would remember them. And then they want to generate a password for you that's 10,000 letters and numbers, and I don't ever remember that, so I have to write that. Anyway, the point is, it occurred to me that there had to be places where I could simplify. And by simplify, for me, it's get offline, not get more online, but get offline a little bit. So I've decided to go for a planner. We're gonna see what happens. But I have to tell you that just flipping through the planner and looking at the pages and the artwork and kind of the whimsy of it felt right. Felt good. I'm gonna do it. We're gonna see what happens. Let my cup. Oh, I have a black one and I have a white one. I went to Japanese fair. I got this 2 years ago. We went to the Japanese fair here, and oh, last year I got that, and I got a black one and a white one. So my black cat. It's tis the season to bring out the spooky stuff. Yeah, I am hardwired into Google. Like I don't know who I don't know all the things that they own, but yesterday when Amazon went down, I was like, oh, I use this and this and this and that and that and this and this and this and this for Amazon, but I use a lot of stuff that Google puts out. Alphabet and me are like this, right? And so it's just, I think we all have to figure out how we're going to navigate the next coming revolution, right? The next, whatever the next revolution is. We're in the information revolution, the digital revolution, whatever the next one is. It's not going to be going, we're not going to get rid of the digital, but we are going to have to make some other, um, we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do, right? Because I don't know if it was a DNS attack. Like at this point, no news has come out exactly as to what happened. Was it an attack? Did someone decide to test the waters on how they could bring down the system, a part of the system, right? That none of that news is going to come out, and it's probably not going to come out for a while if it ever comes out. If that's what it was, Amazon, I'm fairly certain, is not going to say, "Oh, and by the way, we got attacked by a foreign adversary." Pretty certain that's not going to happen, but there will be hearings because I'm certain that people that there are going to be congressional hearings over, because things like this are just too big, right? They're just too big. So we may never know exactly what happened. Maybe somebody just flipped the wrong switch. Who knows? Right? Like I just was thinking, Cicely. I think last time, literally, somebody just did something, and all of a sudden, half the world goes down. Right? I would not want to be that employee. Holy cow! But I think that in our pursuit, in our bracketing of our lives to create spaces for of convenience and ease, I think we've given over a bit too much of our autonomy to be um, to be happy and safe as well. Because so much of our systems are intertwined with somebody else's systems, and data breaches happen all the time, right? Like literally all the time, which is another reason why I'm like, I need to bring some of my life back offline. Um, but data breaches happen all the time. They're going to continue to happen. This isn't going to stop, right? But it's just, what can we do to bring a feeling of control back? A feeling like, because when we feel like we have some control, other things aren't so massive. It's like Cicely, you were saying earlier, you barely felt the blip, right? From the world outage yesterday because your life isn't as locked in with Amazon Web Services. And like I said, it sparked some really good conversations. But one of the big takeaways from yesterday, I think a lot of people are kind of rumbling, is maybe too much of our lives is is dependent upon systems that we don't really have a ton of control over. We're not going to go backwards, but I think going forward, we do have to start asking ourselves, how much of my life really needs to be connected? How much of my life really needs to be viewable? um, how much of my life do I really want password protected? Because if I don't, people will steal my social security number, right? Like, I just keep thinking about the woman in the smart house who's like, I can't turn off the alarm. I can't turn it off. Like, I literally cannot turn it off. I can't turn on the lights because my smart house doesn't work. So it's not working. Um, like, what do you think about that? Like, is it time to ask some questions? I, I'm not a return to the land type girl. I like modern conveniences. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I don't appreciate the fact that I live in the 21st century, because I do. But I'm also a pragmatist. And we broke up the bell monopolies because the bells were too powerful and they controlled too much of the world at that time. They didn't allow for us as individuals to have much say in how they controlled how we communicated. And so the government said, y'all can't do that. Y'all can't do that. Y'all are too big. You have too much power. You make too much money. And we need some competition. So we broke up the bells, right? Got more competition in the phone world. I think we're headed towards one of those breakups of these big web services because of things like, you can't take down the government, higher education, pharmaceuticals, and airlines on the same day. You just can't do that. And then think people are not going to go, you can't do that. I know. I'm just thinking it through. Oh, yep. Yep. We keep a roadmap. We have maps, we have atlases. Um yeah, I agree with like, I don't remember, I didn't do it after the California wildfires, but I have crisscrossed this country. Like, we have driven I think the only place that I haven't driven from one place to the next maybe is in the deep south. Otherwise, I have driven all over this country. And the one thing that I have learned over the years when you are driving all over the country is that cell service is spotty. Right? Right? So cell service, if you're GPSing on your phone and you're dependent on your phone to get you from point A to point B, woo, you'll end up in a ditch somewhere. I We were driving up the Black Hills in South Dakota. We were going to Mount Rushmore, and we were driving an RV, and it was dark, and the RV the GPS took us on this road that was so narrow and crazy windy. Oh my gosh. When we got to the top and we finally got to our RV plot, the RV place, my husband at the time, I was married. My husband and I just looked at each other and we said, the minute the sun comes up, we are going to go find the gift shop and we're going to find a map and figure out where we came from and how we get down. Come to find out, there was a much easier way, right? Much easier way. But because the GPS had slotted at this to be the fastest way, it didn't know we were driving a 20-foot RV up the mountain. It just said, "Oh, this is the best way for you to go to get there." It was the most harrowing experience of my life. I'm in this 29-foot RV. It is dark outside. The road is narrow. Our whole family's in this RV. We've never been here before. The GPS is like, "Turn left, turn right." And it was just crazy. So, we decided then and there that maps were going to become how we mapped our way through the rest of our trip. Now, obviously, as a little girl, I did maps because we didn't have GPS. But it was interesting how GPS will take you where you need to go, but it may not take you there the best way. Definitely not the best way. Let's see. Yes. Yeah, very much so. Very much so. I mean, my family, I will be like, "Do you want to go out to eat?" No, can we just cook? Because it tastes better at home. It just tastes better at home. Can't argue with that. We just rarely eat out hardly at all. I do love maps. Love, love maps. All right. Oh, y'all, I'm running long again. Y'all keep letting me just chatter. One day I'll push everything off a table and flip out my map to go over the plan. Hey, maps are the way to go. I love them. Oh, yeah, Caroline. So when we're driving towards New York, getting up into the Adirondacks, no signals. No signals. Coming through Montana, no signals. Wyoming, Montana, it is beautiful. It is sky as far as the eye can see, and no cell phone towers. Not a one. So if you don't have a map, you better hope that this road that you're going on is the right one you're supposed to be on because nobody's calling you and you're not calling anybody else. Whew. And how many horror stories do we hear about people following a GPS into danger because the GPS doesn't know that that road got washed out by a storm? But now you're on a road washed out by a storm. It's just crazy. Oh my gosh. See that. Lost GPS in the middle of it. No, see that's why maps. That's why yes, yes maps. Absolutely. Um yeah, so we have maps, we have atlases, we have road maps, we have all kinds of maps, partially because um we I homeschool my son, and so when we're doing geography, we just get out the maps, especially if we're doing local geography. But even world geography, like we were just in Barnes and Noble, and we got maps for Ireland, and where else did we get a map for? We got 3 or 4 city maps for cities in other countries, so we could look at them. So, all right. It has been an interesting 48 hours in the land of us digital nomads. And I think it's going to be fascinating to see what shakes out. But hopefully, into the chaos of yesterday, you were able to find moments of peace, right? So, one of the nice things about the world going down is I didn't have to do that stuff. So, I got to work on other things and I got to do things in my other world on systems that didn't go down. So that worked. And ultimately, I want us to take, I feel like this is we're at one of those apex moments in history where so many things are happening that this is just one more thing. But I think if we just don't allow it to be one more thing, but allow it to be a moment where we can take a look at what's happening around us and go, here's how I can wrest back my identity from this. Here's how I can pull myself, my unique self, out of the matrix of everything and just exist as me. Just exist as me. Because I think this is a moment in time where so many of these systemic problems are going to continue to happen, but they're also going to continue to open up pathways for us to remember or to reimagine who we could be if we just allowed ourselves to stop thinking that we have to be plugged in to everything all the time. So that's my spiel for the day. Thank you all so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for letting me ramble and enjoy my cup of tea, my crazy planner, which y'all are going to see more of, um, and our discussion about maps. Now I'm going to have to like show y'all the maps on the wall one day. Anyway, have a wonderful week, ladies. I will see you if you listen. If you are a subscriber, you'll see a Thursday video. If you are not, you should subscribe and come hang out with us more often. But have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. As always, I've enjoyed your company, and hopefully, we have carved out a little bit of peace in an otherwise noisy world. I will talk to you all later. Have a good one. Bye for now.